Hi, Titi. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. It's good to see you here, and welcome to our new live talk.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, this live interview is held as part of WAC's live interview series. This is the 27th episode of our live series, and I'm delighted to introduce you to our audience. Just fire up the session, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, Titi Ogufere is a leading advocate for contemporary African design based in Lagos, Nigeria. She is the founder of Design Week Lagos, which is opening tomorrow. Just we are holding this session ahead of opening. And she initiated Design Week Lagos in 2019, and she's also CEO of Essential Media Group and president of the International Federation of Interior Architects and Designers, IFI. Inspired by the potential for design to change society and spur economic development, she's very, very powerful voice for African designers on the international stage and dynamic convener for talent locally. In 2019, Ogufere founded Design Week Lagos, which will start tomorrow. The leading design week on the African continent, conceived to present and celebrate the best contemporary African design across various categories. Ogufere is the founder of the Interior Designers Association of Nigeria, IDEN, and has set global interior design standards. In recognition of her contributions to the design community in Africa, Ogufere was also elected 21st president of International Federation of Interior Architects Designers. She is both the youngest and first person on African descent to hold this position. And she is also CEO of Essential Media Group and Africa's most substantial design-led media group. AMEG publishes two leading design and cultural magazines that are distributed across the continent, organizes festivals, awards, workshops, conferences, many things, I guess. And the company has published over 25 books on African design, including This is Africa, Traditional Design, Modern and Contemporary, in conversation with Dimas Nivoko, and Vernacular Design, Redefining the Narrative. In coordination with Essential Media Group, Ogufere also produced a documentary series for Netflix. I'm looking forward to see this, worldwide on African design, which will be unveiled this October, Made by Design. So our theme is Design Revolution, which is the same theme with Design Week Lagos, which is very important. I think there are a lot to hear from Titi. But I would like to ask, are you joining to us from your office or at home? Where are you now?
I'm at home. I'm at home.
Home. Okay.
Yes.
How do you experience this period? I mean, COVID situation, which is very, very difficult all over the world. And what is it like to manage such a large scale event from remotely? I mean, partly physically or partly remotely?
I've actually been working remotely for quite a while, but you know, COVID just really helped me kind of settle, because I travel a lot, so it's just easy to just, you know, get your laptop, get your phone and get going, and you get more work done. The only problem with remote working is you don't have time to stop, because sometimes you work to the night, late hours at night, and then you start again in the morning, and you just keep going. So that's the only problem. You have to know when to stop. You have to have like plans for your life. If not, you just find out that if you're like me, you just keep working.
Okay, yeah, it's valid for everyone. So I would like to start. You have many pivotal roles and positions and significant associations that you are leading as well. But I would like to start with the mission of and the role of Design Week Lagos. There is no doubt that Africa's design scene is on the rise and growing rapidly, not just in architecture, but in also fashion and music, etc. So Design Week Lagos is very recently founded, you founded 2019. So why did you initiate Design Week Lagos? What was your aim basically? How does the event intend to impact the African society or in general? And what were the consequences from the past events? I would like to start with these questions. Questions are within the questions, so you're free.
Okay, I'd like to start by saying it's been my life work to actually champion contemporary African design. I've been in the industry for a number of years, and like my many colleagues, we live in the continent, but we travel everywhere else in the world to source. It's difficult sourcing for goods. And you were talking about COVID. I've gone to different fairs, and after a while, I kind of found out that no matter the country or the fair I go to, I didn't really see what I was looking for. There was some kind of identity I was looking for, and we couldn't find those things locally. And what COVID did for most of us, it made people stop and create. You know, like I said, you just keep going through the motions. We belong to this global network. There's so many people that just have to churn out things. They bring out new designs, but it's almost like they look the same. So you go up, like I said, to fairs, and everything looks the same. There's no innovation. There was nothing new. And I was coming from a continent with a rich cultural heritage. I was coming from a continent that had so much inspiration. And I thought, you know what, maybe we need to start creating and developing things that would work for us. Design, as you know, you're designing for people. And if you're designing for people that you have no idea about them, and you have no idea about what their expectations are, what their inspirations are, what they're looking for, there's a disconnect. And there's been a disconnect for some years now. And I thought that it was my responsibility to try and promote and showcase what we have in the continent.
Mm-hmm. So considering that the pandemic is still going on all over the world, how did you plan this year's exhibition? Can you talk about a little bit general structure of the exhibition, and what discipline does it include?
So this year is a hybrid. So we've done hybrid where we have physical events and the virtual events. And for us, because we have right now we have about 28 different African countries that are connecting to for this festival. For us, we knew that it was important to try and not just get the physical people that have come from different parts of Africa, but also get those from that couldn't make it, get them to connect virtually. Like I said, we have different events. It starts tomorrow. We have roundtables, we have talks, we have exhibitions, we have an app launch, and then at the end, we're actually launching a movie or a documentary series on Netflix that will be only on Netflix. Yeah.
So this year's theme is Design Revolution, which is very powerful theme. I guess can be explained in just 2 words. So can you please tell us about the theme of the event? What exactly does the Design Revolution theme aim for, and what do you want to show with this theme?
Okay, so when we thought about the theme, Design Revolution, now I've traveled around the world and I've seen what they've called African design. So let's use the Ankara, for example. A lot of people call Ankara African. Ankara is actually Dutch. It's not African. It was actually, they tried to do it in the Philippines. It didn't work, and they brought it to Africa. And I've been to different parts and I've seen, and most of us have been like, no, that's actually not what African design is. And so you're kind of revolting from what people think African design is. People think that if you think about Africa, you just see maybe a guy with a lion, or you see people wearing just their underwears, and maybe someone with elephant tusks. And I say to them, we wake up in the morning, we go on Twitter, we're just normal, but we have our identity. We want to be able to show you using our rich heritage, using our ideas, when you think of African design, actually, it's actually the opposite of what people think. So people think African design is bold lines. African design has to do with a lot of neutrals. That's the truth. A lot of clean lines, a lot of geometric patterns. So a lot of people don't see that. What people see is what they have carved as African design. And we want to be able to showcase that in the work that you would see.
Mm-hmm. So another excellent news we talked about in the beginning of the session is the launch of the new series African Design on Netflix, which is called Made by Design, which is a very exciting project that showcases some creative processes and outstanding works of African designers. But what exactly are we going to watch in this documentary series? Could you please tell us about more?
Okay, so Made by Design is when we conceived the idea. Like I said to you, COVID did a wonderful thing for many people. What it did, it allowed us to, especially in the design community, apart from the fact that a lot of people lost people, and that was really very sad. But what it did for creatives, we had to stop and reinvent ourselves. We had to stop and we had to look at what we had and kind of take stock. And what we did at that time was we looked around. This first series, we focused on just Nigerian designers, but we hope to go to other parts. But we did that because we were all on lockdown. So we're on lockdown, we could only do something. And this episode actually had architects, interior designers, product designers, just showcasing their work in a different style from what people think. I'm really interested to see what you guys think as you watch it. Just stay tuned. November, it'll be out. Yes.
So that leads me another question, which is very general questions, but I'm wondering your response. Focusing on design trajectory and principles, as you said, when we consider the work of young African designers and architects, product makers, I mean, the rich heritage of African culture, use of raw new materials, knowledge, and craftsmanship. So what exactly does African design want to be? I mean, intricate aesthetic, functional, complex, authentic, or economical? Is there some two or one word that you can describe the African design?
So we want more functional African design, because when people think about African design, you think about a lot of art designs and things that are not functional. But most of us want to be able to put these contemporary designs in our homes because that's what we're looking for. So I think that with all the work that we're doing, we need, so there are a couple of things that we need, and we've been working on. We have so many, we have a rich, like when you think about Africa, you think about our rich raw materials. We have raw materials, but most of the raw materials, because we've not been able to have some kind of industrial revolution, what happens to us is you have to take it abroad to get them done, to be able to sell them, because manufacturing, then we have issues of manufacturing, and we have issues of research, even researching the raw materials to find out how do we use these things. For most of our forefathers, if you know anything about African art and design, you would see the ether head was done in the 13th century, and you have them at the British Museum. And one of the things they say about that, they're like, we don't even understand the technology they used. What did they use at that time? And for most of us, that was technology, and that was in the 13th century. But for us now, we have a lot of young people beginning to research these materials to see what can we do with these materials? How do we make them functional? How do we even partner? The good part about the world is global. So you don't have to say, okay, I've designed something, and what I've designed must be designed in Africa. But it'll be great if it's done, but the creativity must come from Africa, because you cannot sell to us what we don't really need. And that's what we've been taking for the past few years.
Yeah, so I know that you're putting so much effort in educational, some paradigms, norms that you try to change. I will come to that point later. So, can you briefly explain what are the latest trends and urgencies that designers and architects have faced over the last decade in the African continent?
So one of the things we face, education has been a really, really great
Yeah.
challenge. And that's why the work that we're doing at Design Week Lagos is really important. In 2019, we had a lot of young designers, product designers that had come up with ideas. You have to kind of pair them with established designers in different parts of the world for us to be able to see, is this going to work? What are the materials? Just that kind of mentoring. It has been a major challenge. Like I said, education is a major challenge. The schools are major. So there's just so many things that we're actually dealing with. Research and development is a major challenge. But like I said, right now, the great thing about all these challenges is when you know and when you see what the challenges are, the next step for you is how do I come out? But if you don't know what your problems are, then it's difficult for you to find a solution. So we've been able to identify what the issues that we're facing are, and we're now just taking them step by step to make sure that we can find solutions for them.
Yeah, you're also the founder of IDEN, Interior Designers Association of Nigeria, which has set
Yes.
global standards in the interior design, and the president of IFI. And you have also initiated the first interior design program at the University of Lagos. So then, what are the obstacles for young designers and architects to elevate their profession to a higher level, basically?
Okay, so I'll just talk a bit on that. Like I said, education, education, education. That's your first step in anything. Once you can pass the knowledge to the next generation, that would be a major step in helping the development. We worked with the University of Lagos, right, to help them with the curriculum. The curriculum isn't out yet, but we're working with the University of Ife. So there's Obafemi Awolowo University, where they've been able to set up a program. So it's the first interior design and architecture course in Nigeria. And now we're having other universities like University of Ibadan, then University of Lagos. They're all now coming up to say, we want it because we know that there's such a need for this. And one of the things that we're hoping to do with the global partnership is try to connect these schools, because what we have established within our region is architecture. Architecture is really strong, but interiors is totally different from architecture. But even having architects teach interiors, you know that at the end of the day, you might not be able to get what you're looking for. So we want to connect them with professors. In Africa, for instance, there's a university in Cairo that has had their interior architecture program for 90 years. With the roundtable that we're having, we have educators in different parts of Africa, kind of connecting people. That's really, I believe that that's really my role in this picture, just connecting people, champion the cause, promote what we have, educate people, curate. Curating is a major one, because we look at works people come up with, we're like, no, tweak this here. We ask people, have you done your research? Do you know if this would work? And there's a lot of hand-holding that we need to be able to do to present the kind of work that will be globally, not just globally, so we're not thinking about globally accepted, but it would work on a global level when it comes to standards, because there's standards that with design you can't compromise on, whether you're in China or you're in Africa or any part in the world. You must make sure that the standards of design are consistent.
It simply can be called an exchange of knowledge.
Yes.
You are trying to set the exchange of knowledge, just fires up everything, I mean.
Yes. Yes.
So the network is important. And could you please tell us about more IDEN? How does it work? What are the criteria need to be part of IDEN for young designers? How does it work?
So a lot of people that have, when we started the association, we started because we had a few qualified interior designers, but now we have a lot of interior designers that have come back home because we've had people. So if your child is interested in doing interior architecture or design, you know, okay, will I send them to London College of Arts? Will I send them to, you know, you decide on where you want to send them to New York, wherever. So people have sent their children abroad and they've come back. And so we have a new breed of interior architects and designers. One of the things that we've done is we're trying to help with getting the industry licensed, because we also have a lot of quacks and a lot of people that come up and say, I've done a 2-day course and I'm an interior architect, and we want to be able to differentiate the interior professionals from those that are just doing like short courses. But just putting into consideration, because we live here, we also put into consideration that those that have the those that have the flair for interiors and have no knowledge. You have a lot of people that have studied law, for instance, and they come and say, but I want to do interiors. And for us, how do we handle those people? How do we make sure that we educate those people and get them to come in to the industry? So there's a lot of work that the industry is doing locally. And what we try to do is we try to take one step at a time. Right now, we're focused on education and we're focused on licensing. And that's where we're focused on right now in the industry.
So what are your future plans for Nigeria, and what would be your advices to future young African designers and architects who want to prove themselves in their profession?
I wouldn't say the plans are for Nigeria. It's just my heart is for Africa. I really look at the region of Africa, and I just feel like the region of Africa has so much potential that we need to tap into. Another thing is, everyone that knows about Africa knows it's difficult getting information from Africa, because it's almost like a way Africa has protected itself. You can't get information. But we've been able to kind of collate, because it's very important to build communities. You need to get data. You need to know who's doing what. You need to help the people doing. You need to mentor them. So we're building a network. And one of the things we're doing during Design Week this year is we're launching an app that we've called the ID Buyer's Guide, is the Interior Design Buyer's Guide. It's actually a prototype for now. And what we're doing with that is we're just taking different countries. As you know, in Africa, we have the Arabic speaking, we have the Portuguese, the French speaking, and just try to unite us in design. Like I said, design brings us all together. We're excited about this event because we have people that have come from different parts of Africa, from Angola, from Senegal, and it's really, really exciting to just kind of unite in design. I think it's the beginning of great things. That's what I would say. The beginning of great things.
Okay, that I will look forward to see the special documentary series this October. So thank you, Titi, for joining us today.
Thank you.
So thank you for everyone who is tuning into our new live talk, and we will upload the record soon on our IGTV and we will share. So do you have a final words to audience you can share?
Yes, so the final words to the audience,
to the design community.
The design community, watch out for Africa.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
See you soon.
Bye. Bye.